Has there ever been a time when you've been frustrated by the apparent smallness of God's work in your life? In this week's Abide, let's dive into Zechariah 4 and explore what it means to appreciate the little things in life. Hi, I'm James, and this week's Abide comes from the passage in the Our Daily Bread devotional from Monday the 30th of September. We'll be reading Zechariah 4, 6-10. Trusting the process, it can be hard. Sometimes when you're working on a project or building towards something, you know that the finished product will be good, but perhaps you just want it done already. A couple of years ago, I was building a TV cabinet and I just wanted to get it done. In my rush to get it completed, one of my initial cuts was a mere millimetre short, and I thought it'd be fine, and in my haste, I kept moving on. However, when it came time to assemble the whole cabinet together, that one seemingly insignificant thing ended up having huge consequences as I found a much larger gap at the other end of the cabinet. Maybe it's not carpentry, but you're working towards a promotion, or you're teaching your child how to ride a bike for the first time, or building up towards something else. Sometimes the process or each step towards that finish line is hard. And sometimes it feels like it's taking far longer than it should, and it can feel like all your efforts seem to be going nowhere. This is what we find in Zechariah 4 verses 6-10, after a vision came to the priest Zechariah. Let's have a look at the passage. It's Zechariah 4, 6-10. So he said to me, "This is the word of the Lord to Zerubbabel. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord Almighty. What are you, mighty mountain? Before Zerubbabel you will become level ground. Then he will bring out the capstone to the shouts of, 'God bless it, God bless it.' Then the word of the Lord came to me. The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hands will also complete it. Then you will know that the Lord Almighty has sent me to you. Who dares despise the day of small things? Since the 7 eyes of the Lord that range throughout the earth will rejoice when they see the chosen capstone in the hands of Zerubbabel." Zerubbabel, who was the leader in Jerusalem, was in charge of rebuilding this temple, but slow progress was being made and they began to despise it. God reminded him of his powerful presence through a vision that Zechariah had about lamps supplied with oil. The vision was for how Zerubbabel will accomplish the work of rebuilding the new temple and represents the work that God will do. But we're going to be exploring that more in next week's episode of Abide. For now, let's focus on not despising the day of small things. Often we feel like we despise the little things. We want to see big miracles happen quickly, but it's often through the small, little things that add up over time that we see God at work. Can you think of a time when you perhaps despised the small things and you just wanted your prayers to be answered? You just wanted to reach the finish line and do whatever you had to do to get there. We've all been there, and I'd love for you to share in the comments when that moment was, and perhaps how God did get you through that time as well. When we trust in our own resources, our own power, we miss out on experiencing all of the wonderful things that God will supply, even along the way in each of those steps. So let's take a moment to reread verse 10. Who dares despise the day of small things, since the 7 eyes of the Lord that range throughout the earth will rejoice when they see the chosen capstone in the hand of Zerubbabel. Today, let's have a think. Is there anything you're trying to accomplish or build towards, but only find yourself taking baby steps towards that goal? There might be small things that perhaps on the surface level seem insignificant. Like I learnt with my TV cabinet, you can't rush these small things. So I encourage you to spend some time today praying and to remember to trust God even in the small things and to not get distracted by the bigger picture. Thanks for joining me today. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about what this passage means to you and how you might learn to enjoy the little things God is doing in your life, like we read here today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to join us for each episode of Abide, and like the video if it's been helpful. To read or listen to this week's episode, you can do so through the links in the description. We'll see you next week.